just for, I know someone's in a doctor today, so I'll record it for them. So we have a dividend of 8 4/10 or 8 40 hundredths divided by 5. And I'm going to divide, I'm going to multiply, subtract, bring down, and I'm going to add raised decimal. Raised decimal. Okay, so again, I'm going to ignore that decimal first. I'm going to ignore it, and I'm just going to divide as if it were 840 divided 5. But I'm going to make sure that I line up my answers. So 5 goes into 8 how many times? I know that 5 times 2 is 10. That goes over 8. So maybe just 5 times 1. So 1 times 5 is going to equal 8 or less. So 1 times 5 is 5. And I put that number under here. And I subtract, I divide and multiply. I'm going to subtract 8 minus 5 is 3. Subtracted. 5 does not go into 3. So I want to bring down. 5 into 34. I know that 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. That goes over 34, so I don't want to use 7. I want to use 5 times 6. See how I'm lining it up above the numbers? 6 times 5. I'm going to put my answer here, 30. I divide, I multiply, I'm about to subtract. 34 minus 30, right? 4. And 5 does not go into 4, so I'm going to bring down the 0. Okay, 5 into 40. Well, I know that 5 times 6 gave me 30. 5 times 7 is going to give me 35. And then 5 times 8 is going to give me actually 40. So I'm going to put the 8 above the 0 and multiply. 8 times 5 is 40. And I'm going to put my answer here. I multiplied. Now I'm going to subtract. It's going to give me 0. I have nothing else to bring down. So that means it's time to raise the decimal. So that means my decimal is going to go right above where it is. And that means that 1 68 hundredths should give me 8 40 hundredths. Any questions on my division here so far? Okay, this gives me a little anxiety because I want to know that I lined up my numbers correctly and that I put my decimal point in the correct place. So now I'm going to check it by multiplying the quotient and the divisor. 1 68 times 5. Okay, and that should give me 8 40 hundredths. So let's do this. 5 times 100 equals 500. 5 times 60, 5 times 6 is 30. And then that other, 5 times 60, 5 times 6 equals 30. And then this other 0. So 5 times 60 is 300. And then 5 times 8, I know is 40. So 0, 4, and then 5 plus 3 is 8. Now there are 2 numbers here. There are 2 place values before the decimal. So I'm going to count 1, 2 place values before the decimal. This should be my dividend. 8 and 40 hundredths, and yes, I am correct. 8 and 40 hundredths. Right, but my quotient, so 1 and 68 hundredths is my quotient. Do you see that? Please ask questions. Okay, I want you to try the next one on your own, but this one is going to be like a practice round. When you get stuck, you ask a question. Okay, so try 45 and 2/10 divided by 4. Okay, try that on your own. And when you get stuck, ask a question. Always remember that you are going to do this on your own. So ask all the questions that you need to ask. So when you do this on your own, you're not stuck.
How do you put the decimal up again?
So you want to put the decimal up at the end. Don't do it now. You put it at the end. You just ignore it. And then once you have a quotient, you're just going to raise the decimal right from where it is. So the decimal should be here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we put our answer in the chat?
Yes.
So when you put the decimal up, it would like line up with everything because, for example, if you have the 4 and then you've got the 45.2, you'd put your numbers like right above the 45, like above the 4 you'd put a number, and then above the 5 you'd put a number, then you'd put the decimal, and then the other number.
So what you mean is, like, where do you put your quotient? How do you line up your quotient?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, I'll go over that. Let me just wait for people's answers because I want to see what is the misconception, if there's any, okay? I'll give you 3 more minutes. And Sophia, that's why it's always good to check your answer so you make sure that you put the decimal where it should be. 2 more minutes and I will go over it. I need an answer from everyone. I've only gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 answers. Okay. I saw some correct answers and some that are not, and some are not sure. So let's do this together. And here we go. We divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, raise decimal. Okay, so we ask ourselves, how many times does 4 go into 4? And 4 does go into 4 one time. So because 4 goes into 4 one time, we would put the 1 over the 4. Now, let's pretend 4 doesn't go into 4. If we pretend 4 doesn't go into 4, let's say the number 3 was there and not the number 4. Let's see if I have a pencil. Because I think this is where you're trying to go. Let's say this was the number 3. Right? 4 doesn't go into 3, so you would have to think, how many times does 4 go into 35? If you figure out how many times 4 goes into 35, which I think is 8 times, the 8 would go here, above the 5 and not the 4. Because it's like we're saying we already did these numbers. Okay, but in this case, we don't do that because 4 does go into 4. Okay, so 4 goes into 4 one time. And we put it over the 4 because it goes into 4 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. Then we get 0. I divided, I multiplied, I subtracted. Let me bring down. Okay, so now 4 into 5. How many times does 4 go into 5? Well, 4 times 2 is 8. That goes over. So again, 1 time. So 4 goes into 5 one time. That's why we put it over the 5. And so now it's 1 times 4 equals 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So we divided, multiplied, subtracted. And let's see if we have to bring down. Yes, we have to bring down the 2. Okay, because 4 doesn't go into 1, but 4 goes into 12. So how many times does 4 go into 12? It goes 3 times. We put it over the 2. 3 times 4 equals 12. 12 minus 12, 0. Okay. So it would be 11 and 3/10. And let's say you feel a little unsure of where you put the decimal. So you want to check your answer by multiplying 11 and 3/10 times 4. And that should give us the dividend. Okay. 4 times 113, 4 times 100 equals 400. 4 times 10 equals 40. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, 2, 5, 4. We have one place value before the decimal. We put it one place value before the decimal. 45 and 2/10. 45 and 2/10. That means our quotient is correct. Did everyone see how I lined up the quotient depending on which number I was multiplying by? Okay. All right, try another one on your own. If you get it, I will let you go. If you didn't get it, you're gonna stay, okay? Who feels super confident about this?
I do.
Okay. What is the most difficult part? Write it on the chat. Remembering when to put the decimal point. Yeah. So you can just raise the decimal. You don't bring down any decimals. Only here you also don't bring down decimals. It's how many place values do I skip, right? If I skip one here to put the decimal, then I'm going to skip one here.
Once we do we just like or
You wait.
okay.
Okay. All right, let me put it up. 8 and 4/10 divided by 6. Go ahead and try that on your own.
Did the Google Slides from today get fixed?
Yeah, I think I just need to check them, but I fixed them when you told me, while we were talking.
Okay, I'll go do them right after this.
Let me check your answers. All right, Daniel, you can go. You're good. Sophia,
you.
you can go. Liam, you can go. Isaiah, Juliana. It's okay. So Isabella, now you're solving this. Shayla, check your answer. You're solving this problem, Amari. Shayla, try again.